Well, thank you, Andy, as we get ready to turn our attention to qualifying for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour as they get ready for the 4th race of their season. Great to have everybody with us here this weekend at Monadnock Speedway. My name is Joe Koss alongside Ben Dodge, who will slide into the announce booth here for today's presentation. Ben, we've talked about it a lot throughout the day today and, of course, the season here at Monadnock, but everybody back in the paddock area is talking about one thing, that brand new asphalt that's on this racetrack.
They sure are, and that's not the only story. Nobody knows exactly what to expect or how they can anticipate what is going to happen here this afternoon. Now, one of the big stories that we were able to talk about earlier in the paddock area was with Norm Wren, the gentleman that is the owner of the Monadnock Speedway, as he told us the story of why he decided to repave for 2024. He said simply the old surface was just too rough, the bumps on the racetrack, and he felt this new surface was the way to go. However, when we talked to people like Phil Moran and other individuals, they said there is a completely different line to run this racetrack. It's the same in one, it's almost the same coming off two, but when you go down to the bottom of turn 3, there is now a berm there. There's a different level with the grass in the infield area to the surface itself. If you get your left front wheel on that berm, it is going to shift that car up a half a lane. That's where the trouble could begin.
That's right. Back in prior races here, when you had the old pavement, you were able to get down on that flat and pitch the car sideways and get it to roll through turns 3 and 4. But
so true.
That's not a thing anymore. You know, the driver said a little bit earlier today that the track, with the new grip, with the new pavement, it's a little bit more forgiving, but not that much more forgiving. When you have that old pavement, you missed a corner a little bit, you might go up a groove or two, you'd go from 1st to 15th. Now you've got a little bit more room to gather it back in, but not much.
So true. You know, there's so many different side stories in this event as well this weekend. We've got the youngsters. We've got a kid like the young Kimball kid that started racing here at this racetrack when he was 11 years old. This is a big day for him. Previously, he qualified in the front row on a Whelen Modified Tour event at this racetrack. He has the credentials. His father is a multiple New Hampshire state champion. That's the kind of driver that is making, well, biting into the new surface. But today it's an equalizer. If you were great on the old racetrack, you got to prove yourself today. And Joe, some of the old school will have a tougher time adjusting than some of the new school.
Talk about old school back in the paddock area. I think that experience of the teams who have been there and done that are trying new things. We, for the first time, have seen really these teams setting up 3 completely different strategies on setting up these race cars by spring combinations and shocks and all those different things. And you're going to see a different style of racing as a result. But one thing we have seen, these tires are brand new on the right side of these race cars. They're very hard. And what that means is that you don't have to baby the tire. It's hammered down, flat out, from 0 to 150 laps today. And I think you're going to see a very high-speed, high-paced race with guys being aggressive because of that.
I think you're right. There is another ingredient that came into all of this. When they came here to do the tire test to pick a tire for this racetrack, Mother Nature was not kind. On that given day, they didn't get to put down a lot of laps. Actually, in a tire test, you put down 100 laps. You change the combination. You turn different setups and make it work on the racetrack. They didn't get to do that on that day. 16 laps were in 2 rounds, and then the rains came. What's going to happen? Nobody knows the answer to. But there's one thing for sure. When I literally surveyed all of the competitors in the pit area, and I asked them to pick 3, not 1, but 3. They all picked Ronnie Silk. They all picked Justin Bonsignor. But the third pick was one of the hometown guys. It was Brian Roby. Interestingly enough, first car is on the racetrack, Joe.
Roby has been good this season, too, as he makes his full-time Whelen Modified Tour campaign. Now, the cars will come out on track. The first time they come across the start-finish line is kind of a free lap, maybe a dead lap, you might call it. The green flag will come out the second time around. They'll get 2 qualifying laps. In Wakefield, New Hampshire's Melissa Fifield is on track in the Pine Knoll Auto Sales entry. Her speed starting to improve a bit here this season. She has improved with finishes out on the racetrack nearing 150 career starts 4, Melissa Fifield, came home with a 16th place effort at Thompson last time out. Checkered flag is out for Melissa Fifield, lap number 2, a 12.90. And Ben, earlier today, Ron Silk, he was fastest in practice. He was down in the 11.6 second range.
You know, there was a pack of cars that was in that bracket, but right now, here's one of the Cinderella stories of the event. Local kid that has done good. The 1812 auto body machine from Granby, Massachusetts, car number 81 for Nathan Wenzel. Now, you might think that Nathan, this is a first-timer for him on the Whelen Modified Tour. But the reality is simply this. This young man's got a lot of laps on this racetrack. He is now taking the green. Familiar colors of the old Wade Cole combination. The Pease family have had a lot of successful race cars. And Nathan's dad, very successful here. First lap on the clock, 12.900. Looks to pick it up. Big day for the hometown type racers here. And second lap will go into the record books with a time of 12.197, and that puts him into the number 1 spot on the board.
Don't let them fool you today. Back in the paddock area, the teams, the drivers were talking about how fast this racetrack is. 11-second laps around this Monadnock Speedway. They are up on the wheel. One driver likened it to flying an F-16 inside a stadium, holding your breath around this racetrack, and that is the speed that these drivers are feeling on track. Here's one of the veterans. This is Tim Conley driving the famous number 4 machine. He's had a couple of tough races with engine issues the last few times out, but he's a 9-time series winner, and he is looking to continue his campaign here this weekend. You hear him burp the throttle just a little bit as he came across the front straightaway in the start-finish line that time for Tim Conley as he looks for the checkered flag and attempt to make that scoreboard move. Conley will sit second with a 12.42.
Next car on the grid will be the number 18 car. Veteran driver of the Whelen Modified Tour. It's a Fury chassis. The Bowie One Seafoods restaurant car. Greg Gorman is the crew chief for Ken Heggie. Heggie said that he was struggling a bit in practice with the car, but he felt that the back end was too loose. Made some adjustments, he got it better. First time around for Heggie on the clock. White flag will be out. Heggie's first lap will put him in the 3rd spot, 12.424. Looks to pick it up just a bit. Heggie's second time on the clock, 12.359. Heggie will move into position number 2, just behind Nathan Wenzel, the rookie competitor.
Well, I couldn't help but notice when Ken Heggie was out on track, had a lot of that riverhead line in him.
Yes, he did.
A little bit higher through turns 1 and 2, knocked it down low in turns 3 and 4, and that made a difference. Here's Joey Cipriano. This is a dream come true for him to be able to continue another race on the Modified Tour.
It sure is. He put together this team. They have 2 race cars. The open car was among the quickest cars in the Monadnock Tri-Track Series. This car here, first outing for him. It is an older car, but he will tell you, this kid has got a ton of talent. He's a very smooth, but a very aggressive driver. First time on the clock will be coming up, and it is second fastest for Joey Cipriano. Joey Cipriano's time will be 12.280. Second time puts him to the top of the board, 12.107. 12.107, very impressive time. Here's a guy that cut his teeth, moved down south. He worked on the next-gen race cars in cup competition, came back up north, and calls the state of New Hampshire his hometown.
That's Kyle Eversole in the number 5 machine. First start of the season, 30th overall, and he was able to score a finish here just a few years ago, or last season when he made his first start here at Monadnock. Didn't get the results that he wanted that day, but hopes to be able to have more success here today. Lap 1, 5th of the 6 cars on track in this beautifully prepared number 5 machine for Kyle Eversole.
A little bit loose coming off turn number 4, but he moves up to the 3rd position. That's a time of 12.275. This kid could make the hometown favorite smile. Driving the number 43 machine from Bennington, New Hampshire, the J&M Towing Poodlock Wealth Management car. It is Kid Kimball. Matt Kimball, first time on the clock.
First time, like everybody else, on this new pavement. He said, you know, I've got so many laps around this racetrack, but with this new asphalt, I can throw just about everything I knew about this track away. I've got to start from scratch and learn all over again.
First lap was not as good as he wanted. 12.441, good enough for 6 out of 7. Second time, that's more like it from the youngster. 12.125. Matt Kimball moves into position number 2.
That'll bring up car number 92, Anthony Nocella, who's known for a lot of modified victories, but when it comes to Whelen Modified Tour competition, it was a special day when he captured the victory at the Magic Mile at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, but this racetrack has been very good to him.
He certainly has. This driver is very versatile. He's competed and won competing in open events, midget cars. Whatever he sets behind the wheel of that's open wheel, he can get the job done.
White flag out for him, final lap, and he already goes to the top at 11.964. And on lap number 1, that's all it took for Anthony Nocella to knock off Joey Cipriano, and he goes a little bit slower on lap 2. So it'll be lap 1, the time of record here for Anthony Nocella. And we've got a new driver on track, not a new car, but a new driver.
We sure do, and he is one of the best at Riverhead Raceway, driving the GAF Roofing number 58. It is the very talented Timmy Salamito. This is the Jason Shepard prepared car. Fury race chassis. Timmy Salamito has amazing talent at Riverhead Raceway. He is right among the top drivers there. First time on the clock, moves into second fastest, 12.030. Only one car out of 9 has moved into the 11-second bracket. Second time, no surprises here. Second car in the 11-second bracket, and it is 11.940.
Next car on track is car number 3, Old Blue, Jake Johnson. And boy, it's not if, but when Jake Johnson is going to win a Whelen Modified Tour event. Looking for that first victory, a runner-up at Thompson Speedway early on in the month of April. And Jake Johnson and this team is really firing on all 8 cylinders and comes into this short bullring racetrack here at Monadnock Speedway with an opportunity here in the Granite State Derby to get that first ever victory. He goes to the top, 11.831 for Jake Johnson, and he's still flying here on lap number 2, seeing if he can get a little bit more out of that 3 car. And across the line he comes, he picks up a little, 11.814 will be the time of record for Jake Johnson.
On the speedway now, car number 32. This gentleman really has been consistent and strong. Had a great performance in the Musco Lighting, Northeast Drilling Company. Tyler Ripkema behind the wheel of car number 32. Tyler, 11th car to take time. 3 cars have broken into the 11-second bracket on the new pavement in this JVD production special event. Tyler moves into second, 11.908. Will he move to the top of the charts? 11.976. Kind of interesting pattern that's developing here, Joe. The second laps traditionally usually are the quickest. That is not what we're seeing early in the time trials here today.
No, not at all. The fastest cars have laid down their quickest lap on the opening lap. Remember, they've got that one full lap as they come onto the racetrack in turn 2 to get everything up to speed and warmed up. But that first lap is the one we've got to watch. Tyler Catalano has been so impressive here this season. Already 2 top 5s, the 3 Catalano brothers that are running full-time the Whelen Modified Tour here this season. And the 84 car out on track for Tyler Catalano. Trevor Catalano, the 56, having a great year as well with top 5 finishes to his credit. Tyler will lay down a 12.043, and that will be lap number 2 and the faster of them.
Well, our next car to come on to the track is our 13th starter, car number 22. The Charles Lewandowski Performance MTT Munz Auto Car for Kyle Monsignor. Bonsignor gets the green. He too is long overdue for having a great run this season. Off turn number 4, white flag is out. Bonsignor's first time top of the board. 11.743. 11.743. 5 cars in the 11-second bracket. Second lap, not as quick, but close. Last lap, 11.776.
Big step for that team in a qualifying effort. They've been trying to improve that this year, the 22 team has. Here's one of the local favorites. This is Brian Roby, as he will get one qualifying lap only. As he comes across the line this time here, he'll see the green flag. Brian Roby, one of the favorites, as Ben had noted earlier in the day today when we started, as he hits the throttle on the back straightaway, trying to see if he can carry as much steam as possible. A bit high through turns 3 and 4. Checkered flag is out, but Roby's still able to put it inside the top 3. 11.870 for Brian Roby.
Good run for him. Now here's the guy that everybody has been watching, the Phoenix Communication. Ryan Stone prepared 51 from Holtzville, New York. Justin Bonsignor. Bonsignor, 15 cars to take time. Green is out. Watch the line. He said he had to learn this track all over, but he had a trick or two up his sleeve. And lap number 1 will show 11.918. Fifth fastest of 15 cars.
Use that left front underneath the yellow line off turn number 4. One of the only drivers to do it in the session. He picks up by not doing that here on lap 2. He goes to 4th, 11.887 for Justin Bonsignor. Up next, the 1 car, Patrick Emerling. His owner, Rich Courteau, who is here, came in from California to be here at the race today. And this 1 car is another car that has turned a lot of heads this year.
Certainly has. If they have had no luck at all, to say the least. But Patrick Emerling was strong in the opening event, was strong at Richmond, and was equally as impressive, but has not been able to have that string of luck. They did finish on the podium at Thompson. Today is a new day and a new deal. 11.956, backed up by 11.791. Patrick Emerling follows Kyle Bonsignor into the number 2 spot.
Kyle Bonsignor, that lap looking really sporty here right now with an 11.743. 8 cars left to qualify, and up next it'll be Tommy Catalano, the oldest of the 3 Catalano brothers and most experienced on the Whelen Modified Tour. This team, boy, they're having fun. The 3 brothers, the parents, racing together as a team. They have put their effort behind it, and the results are showing here early on in the 2024 campaign. 5th on lap 1, 11.884 for Tommy Catalano. Does he have a little bit more left in the tank? And can he pick up a little bit more? Yes, he can. He goes to 3rd, 11.806.
Next car out of the Speedway is the 3rd car of this team. This, of course, is the number 56 car. The David Catalano Motorsports car for Trevor Catalano. Trevor, first lap in the record books, back in the 18th position before we go to green. As he comes back to the line, lap number 1. And the white flag is out, and Trevor moves into the top 6, 11.881. All of the Catalanos are looking racy here this afternoon. And Trevor holds in the 6th spot with 11.877. Here is a former champion who's able to get the job done, knew the old Monadnock better than most. He won titles on the MRS. He won events on the Tri-Track program, and he is back in winning form. Will he be able to pull it off here today?
John McKennedy, driver the number 79, back on tour here for the next 3 races he'll run with the Whelen Modified Tour, as McKennedy looking to get back to the top step of the podium. White flag is out. He's 11th. 11.989 for John McKennedy, outside the top 10. And that is not where he wants to be in the qualifying order.
Not at all. He was much quicker in practice, but John McKennedy is able to move into 2nd. 11.759. Austin Beers started his success a year ago at Richmond. Had a tough start to the season. Mechanical problems at Thompson, but they still recovered. This is the Ron Newhouse prepared Sly Zabin machine. Austin Beers' dad, Eric Beers, also had a lot of laps. Oh, trouble. Right in the center of the turn. Car snapped back 12.735. That is not what they were looking for. 19th out of 20 cars. Second lap, quicker, good enough for 13th with a time of 12.048.
It is difficult to start deep in the pack here at Monadnock, and right now Austin Beers will start no better than 13th. He's going to have his work cut out for him here today. Two-time and defending Whelen Modified Tour champion Ron Silk on track. Fastest car in practice earlier today, has not won a Whelen Modified Tour race here at this racetrack, and they're looking to change that because he has 2 victories in 3 races already this season. This team has been on fire. Ron Silk, lap 1, puts him 10th, 11.936 for Norwalk, Connecticut driver, as he looks for the checkered flag across the blue and white here at the stripe and moves up to 6th at 11.837 for Ron Silk.
Joe, you notice how earlier, before the sun came out from behind the clouds, the first lap was all quicker. When the sun came out bright here at the Speedway, lap number 2 became a whole different deal. Car number 19 is up next. That's Anthony Cecily from Monadnock, New Jersey, in the Franzosa Trucking Company machine. This is the number 19 car. It's a Troyer chassis. James Archibald is the crew chief on the car.
Green flag out for Anthony Cecily, who spent a lot of time racing at 2 racetracks. Wall Stadium, it's high bank like this, a lot longer of straightaways on that one, and Mountain Speedway out in Pennsylvania. And he said those 2 tracks really helped me prepare for a run like this. He was quick in practice earlier today. Anthony Cecily now 11th, 11.929 for Cecily in that number 19 car.
Second lap, will it be quicker? It is, with a time of 11.717. You know what that's good enough for, Joe? Position number 1. Car number 46 is up next, and that, of course, is the Riverhead Building Supply. There are 3 names that have been synonymous with running up front this season, and Craig Lutz is one of those names. Coming back with an old team, they say you can't make it happen again. He is proving that stat all wrong. First lap on the clock, white flag comes out, 11.744, third fastest. Let's see if he can move to the top of the charts. Checkered flag is out, 11.749. Craig Lutz will set back in the 3rd spot.
We spent a lot of time talking about the Granite State Derby. We haven't yet talked about the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup. And Matt Hirschman won that 3-race mini-series that'll be run here at New Hampshire's Monadnock Speedway over the course of this season. Big money, Matt. He's here to chase that money. $20,000 on the line for the drivers that win that 3-race series. And Matt Hirschman, very quick earlier today, he's looking for the pole.
Sure is. He turns a 6:02. That was in practice. The last practice of the day, he turns at 11.637. Not a problem at all. Matt Hirschman is the top car on the board. And the second lap, the elite number 60.
Didn't need it.
Didn't need it, like a cat about ready to pounce on its prey. Matt Hirschman will be the man that sets in the number 1 spot, Joe, with a time of 11.637.
Nothing like a big build-up to qualifying, and then Matt Hirschman rolls out onto the speedway and says, I don't need 2 laps. I'll take 1. And everybody in the paddock area goes, oh. Right? And they just sigh, and that's it. Matt Hirschman to the top. He wins qualifying, but he may not start there. We'll explain that in a minute. He wins the Mayhew Tools pole. Anthony Cecily, number 2. Kyle Bonsignor, 3, 4. Craig Lutz, Jonathan McKennedy, 5th.
6th position, Patrick Emmerling, Tommy Catalano, great run for 7th. Jake Johnson for 8th, Ron Silk for 9th, and Brian Roby with 1 lap of time will be in the 10th spot.
Trevor Catalano, he will start 11th. 12th for Justin Bonsignor. That is deep for that 51 team. 32 of Tyler Ripkema will start 13th. Timmy Salamito, Anthony Nocella, the top 15.
16th position, Tyler Catalano, 17th spot. Disappointing for Austin Beers. 18th position, Joey Cipriano. 19th spot, Matt Kimball. And Nathan Wenzel, his first outing in the 20th spot.
Kyle Ebersol, Ken Hagee, Tim Conley, Melissa Fifield, your starting lineup here for today. We'll explain more on how they'll start tonight for the Granite State Derby, but until then, we'll kick it over to Andy Austin and DJ to continue on with our race program today. All right, thank you, Pete Falcone, as we get ready to turn our attention to the 3rd annual Granite State Derby for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Great to have you with us here at Monadnock Speedway, and so much intrigue around this particular race with the new pavement, 150 laps, and Ben, quite a bit on the line for the winner of today's event.
Certainly is, and it's just not the first place. It's $85,000 plus on the line, with $8,500 going to the overall winner of the event. And this presentation is a very special one because it's a new day in the history of this grand facility, as JDV, Josh Bonata, has put together an afternoon of racing perhaps like no other in the state of New Hampshire in short track modified racing. We've already told some of the stories, but the best stories are left to be run, as 24 of the very best of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour are assembled. But the fans are going to be in for a real treat here this afternoon, because this is the very first time that we introduce a brand new presentation of, well, we'll call it spinning of the wheel.
Ooh. Intriguing.
Intriguing.
So, we talked about at the end of qualifying that we had set out the top 10 starters. Matt Hirschman, who won the Mayhew Tool pole, Anthony Cecily, who qualified second, among others. Well, guess what? The NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour has instituted the redraw rule, and I don't know if you followed the tour for a period of time. Ben, this is not the first time that they have the redraw. When was it last, and what is it?
Well, the real story in this one is simply this. It doesn't mean that you're starting in the front row. It doesn't mean you're starting in position number 10. It means that with the spin of the wheel, we will determine where the entire field will be inverted. After the inversion, what happens next, Joe?
Then you've got the drivers picking their starting position among those top 10. So look at it this way. The top 10 could be involved in what is called the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour redraw. It'll be tried here at the races at Monadnock.
Standard procedure.
We will introduce the starting lineup as they qualify.
Correct.
The pole sitter will pull a number out of a bowl, out of a hat, so to speak, right? And the number on that wheel, on that particular number, actually, I'm sorry, we're going to spin a wheel. The wheel is going to be spun, and that's going to land on a number. You're all going to see that here on
That's correct. That'll all be taking place at the start-finish line, directly in front of everyone. No sleight of hands, no magic show here. It's the real deal. Everybody in the house will be able to see it.
So the wheel right here at the start-finish line, that'll determine how many drivers will be in that redraw.
Correct.
Could be 10, could be 8, could be 6.
Yes.
So when they decide that, now those top 6, or whatever that
number
is, will pick their starting position with the pole sitter starting first. So you could see Matt Hirschman, who qualified first, won the pole, start 10th today.
That's correct. And the whole combination of this all comes into play. The reason for all of this is simple: to create a better playing field, to get everybody the opportunity to show their talent and ability. So the field comes out of the paddock area as they're assembling on the front straightaway, as they will be staged and stopped. Very interesting is the fact that this is stop number 1. Today is the Granite State Derby, a race like the Kentucky Derby, but with more horsepower installed in it. And then it'll move to the duel at the Dogs on July 20th, a 250-lap race. And then on to September 21st, the Winchester Fair event. Those 3 races will pay an unbelievable amount of bonus money. Joe, what's the incentive there?
It's part of the Granite State Short Track Cup presented by Whelen. 3 dates in all. How about this? A $20,000 purse, and based on points in that 3-race mini-series, the champion, 3,000 points, second, $2,000, third, $1,000, and a bonus. If a driver can sweep all 3 races here at Monadnock, they get an extra $3,000 bonus.
And this, of course, is something unique. It's something very special. For those of you that don't know, Whelen Engineering, the pride of the American, All-American, Wheel American Series Tour, they are proudly represented in the state of New Hampshire. They are an American-based company. We have over 150 representatives that are joining us here for this afternoon's event. So it's a New Hampshire program with an incentive from Whelen in the great state, the Granite State of New Hampshire, for the Short Track Cup. And all of this was put together by Josh Manata and his outstanding production company called JDV. If you haven't heard about it before, well, you got to check it out now. They're angling the cars from turn number 1 all the way down to the bottom of turn number 4. And there's so many different side stories in this event, as they will be staged in the order of which they qualified. However, remember the spin of the wheel, how it pulls into this, and the luck of the draw. So, staging now, just to the right of the start-finish line, Anthony Nacella, and then the Catalano family. 3 cars strong. They have been amazing. Tough qualifying run for a young Austin Beers with the number 64 car, but they have worked on that car in the paddock area, and I think you're going to see some big things happening there.
There you see the wheel down on the start-finish line, just past it here at Monadnock Speedway, with all the numbers that could be redrawn here today by the pole sitter. And again, those will be the number of cars that will not necessarily be inverted,
that is
but
correct,
will have an opportunity to draw for their starting
position. That is correct.
Today.
So, for example, if they spin the wheel and if it stops on number 6, okay, that means the top 6 will then redraw to determine the top 6 starting positions there. If it was 10, it would be 10, and of course the calculation continues and go further on. For those of you that are tuned in and watching us on Flow, we welcome you to this grand facility. It is a great racetrack. In 1971, things changed here. But believe it or not, when this racetrack originated, it was a unique, form of racing. Parts of the racetrack were dirt, and other parts in the turns were asphalt, and vice versa. So a lot has changed since then. New pavement, Norm Wren, and his operation doing a great job. But the promotion and the marketing, a credit to Josh Manata, JDV Productions, and all of the special people working behind the scenes here to put together this grand presentation. If you don't know, Joe, you know the story. This is the first major event on the new asphalt here.
And let's put that to the test. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's 3rd annual Granite State Derby 150. Starting in the 24th position, she hails from Wakefield, New Hampshire, one of the most popular drivers in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. The Pine Knoll Auto Sales 01, Melissa Fifield.
Scheduled to start 23rd on the grid will be the Conley Company's car. This is a Fort Fury chassis. Cal Gale is the crew chief. Ladies and gentlemen, driving car number 4 from Endicott, New York, the veteran Tim Conley.
Starting 22nd from Calverton, New York, the Bowie One Seafood and Restaurant, number 18. Please welcome Ken Hagee.
And starting back in the 21st starting position, he'll be sitting behind the wheel of car number 5. This is the Bob Ebersol car, Ebersol Excavating. Would you welcome Kyle Ebersol?
Starting 20th, making his second start at the Whelen Modified Tour in the 1812 Auto Body, number 81. From Granby, Massachusetts, Nathan Wenzel.
One of the hometown boys that has done good. His father is a former New Hampshire state champion. Starting back in the 10th row, starting position number 19. The J&M Towing, Pudlack Reef, Management's Machine. Ladies and gentlemen, he'll be sitting behind the wheel of car number 43. It is a Central Mass Tree Company car. Give a big round of applause from Bennington, New Hampshire, the rookie, Matt Kimball.
He'll start 18th today from Waterbury, Connecticut. The dependable energy and bass plating, number 15, living the dream today, Joey Cipriano.
17th starter on the grid will drive the G&G Electrical Supply, Dell's Electric Company machine. Ronnie Uhouse and Sly Zabin are the magic behind the combination, better known as KLM Motorsports. Ladies and gentlemen, from Northampton, Pennsylvania, starting 17th on the grid, Austin Beers.
Starting 16th on the grid in the Catalano Motorsports, number 84, from Ontario, New York, Tyler Catalano.
Starting in the 15th starting position, this gentleman, his nickname is Ant. He'll drive the Nacella Paving K&D Associates air gas car. Ladies and gentlemen, sitting behind the wheel of car number 92, from Woburn, Massachusetts, would you welcome Anthony Nocella.
He will start 14th today in the GAF Roofing number 58, the 2016 winner here at Monadnock Speedway. From Islip, New York, please welcome back to the Whelen Modified Tour, Timmy Salamito.
7 rows back inside of that row, starting position number 13. He'll sit behind the wheel of the Musco Lighting Northeast Drilling car. Keep your eyes on this car. He's been getting closer and closer to having a victory here on the Whelen Modified Tour. Car number 32, would you welcome, it is Tyler Ripkema.
Starting 12th today, driving the Phoenix Communications Incorporated number 51 from Hotesville, New York. A 5-time winner here at this racetrack, Justin Bonsignor.
Now we move into contention with the Catalano family. 3 cars strong. Ladies and gentlemen, the Catalano Motorsports number 56 will start 11th on the grid. Ladies and gentlemen, give a big round of applause from Ontario. It is Trevor Catalano.
And qualified inside the top 10 today from Sunapee, New Hampshire, Maurice Enterprises bring you car number 25 in his home state, Brian Roby.
Next, ladies and gentlemen, he'll be starting 9th on the grid. He is the big dog to watch. Phil Moran prepares the automobile. The Blue Mountain Machine Future Homes car. The Hayde Yonan Racing Enterprises Special. Car number 16. Ladies and gentlemen, the Silver Bullet, Ronnie Silk.
Starting 8th, he drives a Propane Plus Lynn's Propane Trucks number 3, one of the most famous modifieds in the history of open wheel competition. From Rehoboth, Mass, Jake Johnson.
Now moving to the 7th starting position, this gentleman will drive the FX Capero machine. Number 2 car for the Catalano Motorsports car. Rick Kluth prepares the automobile. Give a round of applause for Tommy Catalano.
Starting 6th, from Orchard Park, New York, the Fleetworks Incorporated number 1. Part-time driver in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Full-time driver in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, Patrick Emmerling.
Now moving to the 5th starting spot, 3 rows back to the inside. This gentleman's driving the Christopher's Towing Company car. He'll be sitting behind the wheel as a former champion of the Whelen Modified Tour. Ladies and gentlemen, driving car number 79, we welcome John McKennedy from Chelmsford, Mass.
Qualified 4th today, driving the Riverhead Building Supply number 46. This driver has been on fire this season. From Miller Place, New York, Craig Lutz.
This gentleman qualified 3rd. He'll be driving the Charles Lewandowski Performance MTT Munns Automotive Machine. From Bayshore, New York, car number 22, Cam McDermott is the crew chief for Kyle Bonsignor.
And your top 2 qualified cars. Starting in the 2nd spot from Mattawa, New Jersey, the Franzoa Trucking Company, Karchner Warehousing, number 19, Anthony Sesley.
And next we move to the man who is the fastest car in the house. He's sitting behind the wheel of the Elite number 60. Ladies and gentlemen, from Northampton, Pennsylvania, car number 60, Matt Hirschman.
So Matt Hirschman very fast earlier today, earning that Mayhew Tools Pole Award. He was victorious today. The drivers will start making their way towards the start-finish line if they have qualified inside the top 10 for the redraw, and Matt Hirschman will have the opportunity to come up center stage, where our host, Andy Austin, will take things over in a moment here and run ahead and spin that wheel and determine how many of the top 10 starters we will redraw for starting position here today before beginning the third annual Granite State Derby. And, of course, leading up to the call to post here today. Let's go trackside to Andy Austin.
Thank you so much, Joe Koss. Thank you very much, Joe. As we are here down in what will be Victory Lane. So we have a bunch of numbers on here. Matt, what do you say you give her a spin? Does it land on 4, 6, 8, 10? There's 6. There's 6. There's 6. Do I see an 8? Do I see an 8? It's on 8! So, let's bring it on up here. That's a lot for a quarter-mile track. And this will be the first guy, Matt. If you can just draw this one here. Matt Hirschman is going to start in position number... What you got?
7.
7. Anthony Cecily. Anthony, what you got? What's that?
On the pin.
Big dog. Pole position! Yeah. Sure. Kyle Bonsignor come up. Kyle? Qualified in third. The pole is gone. Outside pole still there. And you get 8.
Awesome.
8. Craig Lutz. Craig, come on up here. One piece of the front row is still open. What do you got?
4.
4. All right. Works out in the wash. Looking for John McKennedy. John, come on up. All right. All right, John, what you got?
It's going to be a 3.
You called it.
3.
3! Inside of row 2 for John McKennedy. Patrick Emmerling. Patrick, come on up. And you get a
5.
number 5. Tommy Catalano. Tommy. Tom, what you got?
2.
On the outside pole, Tommy Catalano and Jake Johnson.
1 left.
Yeah, 1 left,
Hope
bud.
it's a 1. 6.
6, at least it's not a 9 upside down. So there is your redraw. Get ready for the third annual Granite State Derby here at Monadnock Speedway. And we'll send it back topside to Joe Koss and Ben Dodge.
Well, thank you, Andy, and that makes things pretty interesting here, Ben.
Sure does.
Because Matt Hirschman, the fastest car on the property, qualified on the Mayhew Tool pole, but he will start in 7th. He lost 7 spots on that redraw.
He sure did, and that's just one of several competitors that you can say the same thing about. Little different firing order, as we can see. The 22 machine, after qualifying third, will be back in the 8th position as well. So, and of course, we said before, Anthony Cecily with the car that was second fastest. He really did very well for himself because he'll be making up the front row. And will today be the day that one of the 3 Catalanos will have the opportunity to make it to Whelen Modified Tour Victory Lane for the Granite State Derby.
So just to recap the redraw for you. 19, Anthony Cecily, Tommy Catalano on the front row. John McKennedy will start 3rd, Craig Lutz 4th, Patrick Emmerling 5th, Jake Johnson 6th, Matt Hirschman will start 7th, and Kyle Bonsignor will start 8th. Now, Ben, this is a Granite State Derby.
Yes, it is.
We talk about the alignment with the Kentucky Derby. We talk about
Absolutely.
the horses. Not one horse, not two
No,
horses,
no.
but how about 600
horses. That's right. And that's just the beginning. It's got all the fanfare, the atmosphere, the prestige. The Kentucky Derby is among the best. Is JDV Productions about to present the best stop for short track racing on the Whelen Modified Tour? Could be the day.
Well, the jockeys are getting inside their mounts right
They're
now.
strapping
ready
in.
to go. The
Up on the
horses
saddles.
have slid down into the cage, into the opening starting gate, and they are about ready to get loose here and take on this Monadnock Speedway for 150 laps. And this is going to be an all-out sprint, just like the Kentucky Derby is. This Granite State Derby, they are going to be up on the wheel. Fresh asphalt, picturesque here in New Hampshire. It really doesn't get any better than this. An ultimate short track race here at Monadnock Speedway.
It sure is. And of course, those of you that are tuned in on Flow, we welcome each and every one of you on behalf of JDV Productions for this afternoon's special event. Another stop, the third annual Granite State Derby 150 laps. Nobody knows what to anticipate. The one thing we do know is it's a different form of asphalt on the track itself, but will it be a whole different strategy that comes into play? We'll talk about tire management coming up, little different situation. We've seen this event go from green to checker before, Joe. We know that. Will it happen today? We're not sure.
Not sure. There are so much new here with this new pavement, new tires, new strategy, new line around this racetrack. Drivers have called it tricky. Getting down into turn one, we saw a couple of cars spin in practice today. I think they're going to have to be up on the wheel, and I think as the race goes on, that chrome horn is going to come into play if you want to be able to get to victory lane today.
I agree. When I talked to Justin Bonsignore, he told me turn one, pretty much the same. Turn two, a little bit different. Tricky part of the racetrack is turn number 3. If you get one of the wheels up on that burr at the bottom of the racetrack, it sends the car up half a lane. That half a lane could be a big factor.
You get a look at some of the track facts here at Monadnock Speedway. Winchester, New Hampshire, typical New England town. They had a farmer's market downtown today on the drive-in.
It's famous for the pickle fest.
It was beautiful.
Yes.
1971, they opened up the racetrack, that same asphalt, until this winter when they laid down this new pavement. Quarter of a mile, 18 degrees of banking in one turn, 16 in turns 3 and 4. Nickname, the Mad Dog.
Sure is. And no two turns are the same on this racetrack. When we talked to Norm Wren earlier, he said his reason for repaving was to take some of the bumps out, but more important, to create a faster Monadnock. We know by looking at the times that has been the case here today.
The field is staged, ready to go. Drivers strapping in. Final preparations being made. The crew members with the air tanks, after making those air pressure adjustments, making their way back to the pit area, which is located over the top of the hill, down the other side of it, and through turns 1 and 2 back in the paddock area. But Ben, as you described, they will not need it here today. Let's take a quick look before we get going. Some of the keys of the race. Protect the right rear tire. This racetrack is always pretty abrasive on that, but the teams have told us that not so much today with the new pavement, and you've got to be easy with the throttle.
You have to be. And, of course, we said before, the unknown factor is the new pavement. This is the longest distance that any division has went on the new pavement here today.
Well, Ben, the stage is set. The horses have pulled into the gate. The jockeys are on the saddle. It's time to go.
The horses are chomping at the bit, Joe. It is now time. Get ready. The moment of intensity. Every rider strapped in and anticipating. In just a few short moments, they'll kick those spurs full throttle right through the bottom of the carburetor to get enough giddy up to become the Granite State Derby winner of the most prestigious stop the first of the short track traditions here as JDV Productions is proud to present this afternoon's event.
And the first of a triple crown of events here for the Whelen Modified Tour this season. 3 stops, the Granite State Derby, the Duel at the Dog, the Winchester Fair, $20,000 in bonus purse money in addition to the race-winning purse as part of the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup. Whelen Engineering employees here from New Hampshire in the crowd today. Beautiful sun pouring over this Monadnock Speedway, glistening on that new pavement, and the field ready to go here for the 3rd annual Granite State Derby. What a day this has turned out to be. I think this is going to be one of the most fascinating races that we have seen in a long time in modified racing here at this racetrack. So much intrigue coming into this one.
It certainly is. The front straightaway here is totally under the sunlight as the parade of cars head down into turn number 1 and into turn 2. Down the backstretch, a little bit of shade there as the field will be correcting itself in the proper starting lineup. Jimmy Wilson in charge of the competition from out of the paddock area with a full team of staff on the Whelen Modified Tour. You know, today we also want to mention, Joe, 2 individuals that are not with us for this afternoon's presentation that were a part of our Whelen Modified Tour family. Glenn Dixon was one of those very special people that was one of the guys behind the scenes. Very sadly, Glenn passed away this past week. And a few weeks back, Mike Davini, who campaigned a car at Richmond with Marcello Rufano behind the wheel. Those are 2 of the individuals that are near and dear to all of our hearts. But now, as we look the field over, as they head off turn number 4, there's no, odds-on advantage going into this one. Nobody knows exactly what to expect for 150 circuits on the quarter mile.
Well, the teams will do 5 pace laps here to get these cars up to speed, warmed up, and ready to go. You look back through the record books, and 9 out of the last 10 races here at Monadnock Speedway have been won from the front row.
That is correct.
But we've got a different scenario today. The fastest car on the property, Matt Hirschman, after the redraw, will start 7th. And that Baker-owned number 60, the yellow and red car that Matt Hirschman is here. He's here for the money. He's here for the Granite State Short Track Cup. Whelen providing the backing there, and that's why Matt Hirschman campaigned with these 3 races. He is the only Granite State Short Track Cup champion in the field. Won it in the inaugural season back in 2022. Last year was a 7 New York team. Doug Kobe, Tommy Baldwin in that group that captured that crown. And who is going to be next as it all starts right now?
It sure does. You know, there's also another side note. Car number 60. Remember, Matt Hirschman has always competed with Troyer race cars. Today, car number 60 is an LFR chassis. Different combination. Something that Matt knows about, but he doesn't necessarily have the feel for. But today, with Matt Hirschman's talent, he'll be expected to be right up front in the competition here.
You have to look at that front row, though. Anthony Cecily, Stephen Kopchik, back together for the first time here this season, working together. He's got that car qualified 2nd, redraw 1st. He'll start on the bottom. Tommy Catalano and this team have had a great season, but these short track races have not been their strength. Their strength has been on the big tracks, the New Smyrnas, the Richmonds, the Thompsons, but they have shown strength with all those cars here, and they've got a car that's starting in the front row.
Let's take a look at that 2nd row. A former champion of the Whelen Modified Tour, John McKennedy, comes back with his own deal, his own operation. And then, of course, Craig Lutz outside of that 2nd row. Lutz now returned to this team, has had a tremendous start so far, but has come up a little shy. He'll be starting in the 2nd row.
1 lap to go when the field comes around. They'll see the green next time through. The crowd here at Monadnock on their feet, getting ready to see 150 laps of the Whelen Modified Tour. The Toyota Pace truck will head for cover. They'll roll through turns 1 and 2, and the go time is now. The gate's about to open. Anthony Cecily down low. Tommy Catalano on the front row after the redraw.
They head down into turn number 3. All of the riders are on their stride. Ladies and gentlemen, the Granite State Derby is about to go green from the high banks of Monadnock.
Green flag out, and Anthony Cecily quickly jumps out in front from the bottom lane. He'll open up 2 car lanes now as they head down the back straightaway. John McKennedy in the 79, darting to the inside. He's looking
Trouble
for
now, up on the high side. Salamino gets crossed up, gathers it back, but loses several positions on the racetrack.
3 wide, here comes Silk all the way to the bottom as Hirschman goes back 2 spots. Now he gets up out of the crowd. Now Hirschman in the 60 car, he is going backwards, gave up 3 spots.
Hirschman backs up the racetrack, just in front. It is Justin Monsignor, 51, running the tire track of the number 16 machine for Ronnie Silk. Back up front, bid for second. Here comes Patrick Emily. 1 car to the inside of your screen. Emily moves into the third spot. Carolina backs up, and here comes Jake Johnson, car number 3.
We're learning early on in this one that outside lane is not very forgiving. Boy, if you get up a little bit, it's all that Jimmy Salamino, he missed his first program, turn 3. Now the Colorado that 54, got to be careful. Doesn't want to quote-unquote, jump the cushion because there's not a lot of room up there.
There certainly is not. Back out front. Leader of the pack still remains. Car number 19, setting a blistering pace. Top 4 cars make it 5 or single file. Catalano is shuffled on the outside lane. Just a few minutes ago, Catalano was into the top row. He's back in 5th. Meanwhile, back up front, John McKennedy looks to the bottom, car 79. Pulls it back into the line. Cecily still the leader of the pack.
John McKennedy behind the wheel of the 79, his family team. Now, last year he drove for Tim Levine for 2022, but they parted ways after the season. He came back and began racing on Gary Putney. This is his first time back here in 2024, and he's already putting pressure at one of his best racetracks on the racing series.
He certainly has. You have to remember, John McKenzie has won titles in this racetrack, the Modified Racing Series. Meanwhile, here comes Jake Johnson. Blue car to the inside of the screen. Patrick Emily, 1 car on the outside. Emily digs deep. He's the first car. Jones make that outside lane forward.
Jake Johnson working the bottom. Second place finish last night on the Hampshire. He continues to show speed everywhere the series goes. It's only a matter of time. Holding the victory trophy in the middle.
While that's been happening, all of a sudden Ronnie Silk in the Bill Moran number 16 car is setting in position number 5. Behind him is a gaggle of cars sitting through the 22 machine. Meanwhile, keep your eyes on that bid for the 4th and 6th position.
Now, Silk started back in 9. He wasn't happy with qualifying. He was able to perform pretty nicely at the 5th. There you see Tommy Catalano struggling in that 58 for the outside. You see 2 distinct groups of race cars. You see that second group. His brother down the inside. Catalano in black and red. 56 at the bottom. His older brother to the outside of the red 54.
Hirschman is right there. It's Hirschman comes to the inside, picked up the spot. Tyler Lincoln moves in to challenge there. And here comes Ryan Roby to the right of the screen. The black, yellow, and orange car. He has 13 victories and he is the only winner of the Modified in 2022. While Catalano shifts to the back, Nocella, the black number 9, puts the pressure on Ryan Roby.
Watching the battle right now, it's 12 Roby, 13 Nocella sitting there trying to take that spot away. So already ripped off 20 laps. Granite State.
Keep your eyes on Austin Beers in the Ronnie Utah's prepared machine. White car to the inside of the screen. Now he's being pressured with all of a sudden a good battle by young kid Kimball. And Kimball, 11 years of age, he started racing in this racetrack. Car number 43, caution flag is out.
Trouble, turn 4. It is Tyler Catalano, the number 84, who's gone around. Brings us under our first caution here. 23 laps complete for the 3rd annual Granite State Derby 150. And Anthony Cecily has been the driver that's been out front the entire way. So Tyler Catalano going around. We'll see if he can get that car rolling once again. Now, we didn't talk about this when they rolled off, but there are no tires that these teams can change. So this is the first race we haven't had a pit stop come into play all season.
And we also want to mention, for those of you that are watching on Flow, we do not have what we consider a pit road. What we do have is a situation that is structured and very well maintained by the Whelen Modified Tour officials and crews, which is backstage, back behind turns 1 and 2. And the gentleman who's covering the action there is Pete Falcone. Pete Falcone will be looking at it from that perspective and giving us the side stories.
A couple of drivers, if they come down pit road, Pete Falcone will have that covered for us just over the hill behind the pit grandstand here at Monadnock Speedway. But we are under the first caution of the day. We'll come to complete lap 25 here. Anthony Cecily right now leading the way in that number 19 car. Earlier today, Anthony described the speed of this racetrack. He said, when I rolled out onto the racetrack, I held my breath for the first 2 or 3 laps, how lightning fast it was with this new pavement. Now, they've had a team that has had a lot of turnover in the crew chief department. They ran New Smyrna without their core crew chief. They had a different combination at Richmond, a different combination at Thompson, but they partnered back up once again with Stephen Kopchik, and that was a combination that worked really well in the 2023 campaign, and the speed with that change was evident. They were fast all day today, qualified second, and got the pole on the redraw.
And I think you're going to see that team have a tremendous amount of success as time goes on. John McKennedy in the number 2 spot. Now, you talk about speed. This gentleman is a former super modified champion. The super modifieds are among the quickest divisions overall in open wheel modified style racing. Here they come, 2x2 side by side. We're about ready to go back to green. Anthony Cecily on the inside of the front row. John McKennedy on the outside.
You'll see here on this start how important it is going to be on the bottom. And as the race goes on, you might see drivers try to hold on to an odd number position, because we saw at the start how Tommy Catalano got stuck up there in the outside lane and he went backwards. As a result, he's back in 17th after the drop of the green flag when he came out on track. He started in the 2nd spot.
You were just looking at Matt Hirschman. He is back in the 10th position. So after the drawing position number 7, he has dropped back 3 positions, but as Joe had mentioned, he is on the outside. Green is out. And Cecily continues to set the pace. Here comes Jake Johnson. The bowler number 3 car gets a good bite on the bottom, and directly behind the number 3 car is Craig Lutz. Lutz now. And McKennedy. Door handle, and here comes Lonnie Silk. Joe Silk is being patient, but he's looking racy in the top 5.
Ron Silk has raced this season, 2 victories already. He is certainly somebody to contend with. Now, we haven't talked at all about Lutz today. He's racing side by side with his cousin, number 22. That's Kyle Lutz, who qualified very well. He got hurt on the big draw as well. He had to start back in the 8th position, losing 5 spots already before he started. Justin Boston qualified outside the top 10. That car is a couple of spots in front of 8th right now, but that is not traditional for them.
No, it is not. Patrick Gentleman, car number 1, has dropped back to the 6th position. He's trying to settle in back behind Ron Silk with the number 16 car. Monsignor hunted down by Catalano. Trouble out. He's got another caution.
Car around the wrong way, midway down the back straightaway, pointing the opposite direction. It appears to be the Nate Wenzel, number 81. Left rear tire is down. You can see he caught the left side of that 81 to the outside Armco barrier.
Very interesting story surrounding that particular race car. He is a former champion competing here in the open wheel weekly divisions of competition in the 1812 paint and auto body car. For him, this was a rare opportunity. His dad competed here in years past, and he was looking nothing better. They brought the car in here in the world of tractor trailers and toter homes and big units assembled to head down into the paddock. They came in the old-fashioned way on a regular single car hauler, but they were able to come back out flat. Looks like both the left front and the left rear as the number 81 heads back to the paddock area.
We're making a pretty good effort to get that car back to pit lane. Amazing, he can even keep that car pointed in the correct direction with only the right side tires working to his favor. You see the left front clearly locked up, the left rear really not much but tattered rubber at this point, and he gets that car off the track. You see it back in the paddock area back where the cars exit the racetrack. We'll find where his crew was pitted and come to the attention to see if they can get that car repaired. But so quick to go laps down here when you're back, even under caution with the short quarter-mile distance of this racetrack.
It certainly is, and of course you're taking a look at it. Those of you watching on Flow, that is backstage here, we'll call it, where the cars go into the paddock area where they can make additional adjustments. But it looks like not a lot is going on. The damage might be a little more severe in the 1812 paint and auto body car, so the young and talented Wenzel might be out of this event with only 37 laps and counting.
He'd be the first driver out if they cannot get that car repaired, would finish 24th today. The last time we had a caution came out on lap 20, and it was Tyler Catalano who was involved. It looks like he will be the driver that will get the free pass and get back on the lead lap. That'll put everybody, with the exception of Nate Wenzel, of the 23 cars on track, back on the lead lap today.
Certainly will, and as he said, you're looking back out is another one of the Catalano cars picking up at the rear of the field. This is the number 54 car. As Tommy picks up at the back of the pack.
Out of his modified with the way that their day ended. We're trying to have a good clean run here today. Well, the pace truck is in field, racked up here along the back straightaway. Anthony Cecily continues to be the race leader. He has led from the drop of the green flag. He's got a new challenger on the outside, and Jake Johnson and Craig Lutz will line up third, which has proved to be a pretty good starting spot. Green flag back out. Cecily quick with the trigger. He'll jump out in front of Johnson, but Johnson tries to put the nose up ahead. He'll make contact, slide up the hill, and they stack up behind.
While he slides up the hill, that works to the advantage. Lutz moves to the inside. Here comes Ronnie Silk. Silk puts the car to the bottom, drifts up just a bit. He now moves into the third spot. All that's been happening. Meanwhile, shuffle back in the outside group is John McKennedy with that number 79 car. Once Lutz broke through with the black number 46 car, he has been able to reel up front. There's McKennedy, right side of your screen, car 79. He is in a battle and struggling as Patrick Emelin runs to the inside. Just in front of them, that yellow and red car is Matt Hirschman.
That car, Matt Hirschman, is so quick on the racetrack, he's not able to pick up any spots. Ryan Hogan, 25, his car starting to become a knife as he goes on the attack against the 79 of John McKennedy. They are starting to get pretty dicey back there. We talked at the start of the roll-off that you may need to use the chrome horns. These drivers running here at the edge or outside the top 10, they are starting to get impatient. We come up on 45 laps, complete 46 this time by, and there's one car up the hill. It's Trevor Catalano off turn 4.
He was able to gather it back. He now runs to the outside of Tim Conley's number 4. That's the battle you're looking at center stage of your screen. Back up front, leader. Brand new leader emerges at the point. It is car number 46, Greg Lutz from Miller Place, New York. The Riverhead Building Supply machine. Out in front, margin between first and second is an impressive one. Silk has moved back into the runner-up spot. Jake Johnson has settled back in with the number 3 car. Behind them, once the leader of the event, Cecily. Joe, he's dropped back to the bottom of the top 6.
He got shuffled out of line, but I think the car that may be most impressive right now is the car sitting second. Ron Silk has such drive, such launch off turn number 2. He gives the bumper to the back of Craig Lutz. That 16 car right now running in the second spot looks very, very good.
Certainly does. Very consistent and smooth. Watch him reel in. Taps to the back bumper. Looks to the outside. Can't do it. We're now looking further back into the field. Good speed shot as the field comes down. Down the back straightaway, here comes Silk. Bonsai moved to the bottom, going, gone. Third different leader of the event.
You can see him setting that pass up. Silk just rolls through turns 1 and 2 so easily. He was able to get to the back bumper of Craig Lutz and just drive underneath him at the entrance of turn 3. And already, Ron Silk able to start to extend by a car length or two. That car is on rails right now.
Certainly is. Another car to keep your eyes on is the 22 of Kyle Bonsignor. It's setting back in the 4th position. Car 22 coming towards the front of the field as well, running directly behind the number 3 car of Jake Johnson. That's the Lynch Propane Plus machine. Back up front, leader of the pack coming up on a lap traffic car. Off turn number 4, Melissa Fifield about to go down a lap again.
Last time through turn 4, the 22 car of Kyle Bonsignor jumped the curb and nearly lost the handle, and he was able to roll it back in. Melissa Fifield, though, a little out of shape right in front of the race leaders. Everybody able to get around it, nearly collecting Craig Lutz. Everyone goes to the outside lane. Fifield slow on the bottom. They're still scrambling to get by her. Too wide now. Timmy Salamino charging in off frame. But boy, it got dicey up front there a moment ago.
It certainly did. Salamino, remember, early in the event, he got crossed up. Now, it is Anthony Nocella that just made a little bit of contact with Melissa Fifield. John McKennedy's car is backing up. McKennedy's car heading back off the racetrack. John McKennedy's day might be over.
61 laps in, John McKennedy to the pit area here at Monadnock Speedway. Up front, Ron Silk continues to battle. You see a little deeper in the field here, Timmy Salamino and Justin Bonsignor. They battle on frame right now. It's the 11th and 12th place cars that we're keeping an eye on the back straightaway. Here's second place Craig Lutz, who's getting pressure from Jake Johnson in the 3.
Now, Jake Johnson cut his teeth at the Seacon Speedway. Different type of a short track. Doesn't have the banking that we have here at Monadnock Speedway, but Jake Johnson is running directly in the tire tracks of Lutz. Lutz will take a peek. He's got a little different line, Joe, as he goes off turn number 4 than the leader, Ronnie Silk.
That was the line that Ron Silk had run. You watch Jake Johnson, he enters higher in turn 22. Craig Lutz has his car pinned right to the bottom of the racetrack, really on both ends. Johnson trying to use that same momentum where he can turn underneath on exit, but he's just not close enough right now.
Keep your eyes on Kyle Bonsignor. That's the neon white numerals and gray number 22 car. The car has been prepared by Cam McDermott. That car is looking good. Meanwhile, you just got a glimpse of the battle shaping up for that bid as they work their way through heavy traffic. Now, traffic has become a big factor, but for Silk, it has worked to his advantage as he comes up on Tim Conley, the number 4 car. Conley, an outstanding athlete, football player, took a lot of time off to raise his kids and family, came back to the sport in his mid-60s as the poster child. You're never too old.
Just behind the 22 car of Kyle Bonsignor is the 32 of Tyler Rickman. He was about 14th in practice earlier today. He was not happy at all. They took a big swing at that car in time for the feature. And he has said over and over that these short tracks he struggles at. And today's race starts 3 short tracks in a row. Tyler Ripkema in that 32 doing a nice job at making the best of a track that they are typically not all that good at, running 5th.
You know, you wouldn't know it, Joe, as you're watching him, because he has worked his way up in contention and doing a good job here. Let's look a little further back. There's the 1 car of Patrick Emmerling. And there's another young talent, Austin Beers, with the number 64 car.
Beers off to a rocky start this season. Trouble at Richmond, crashed out there while running inside the top 5 early on. That 64 car has spent a lot of time racing at Mountain Speedway in Pennsylvania, and that experience would help him at a track like this, but he qualified poorly today, back in 17th, and he's been trying to make up for that since we dropped the green flag.
Bonsignor just out of the top 10, and that, of course, is Justin Bonsignor. Good battle going around Melissa Byfield again. Tyler Ripkema right there behind Kyle Bonsignor. And then Anthony Cecily trying to make a run for it and a comeback. Took a peek to the outside. There's Jake Johnson in the 3 car, the Lynch Propane Plus car.
There's the 32 of Ripkema we were talking about a little while ago. Behind him, Anthony Cecily, who led the first handful of laps.
If you have any doubt that this racetrack is not fast, Joe, look at where we are on the scoreboard. We are past the halfway marker. That is how quick that these competitors are getting around this racetrack.
Yeah, inside of 70 laps. So we're working lap number 81 at Monadnock Speedway. Quarter-mile track, things happen fast, and everybody starting to get used to this. That new pavement starting to rubber up quite a bit. There's the chrome horn. Tyler Ripkema into the back of Kyle Bonsignor trying to move forward, but so far nobody has had the pace, not only here today, but all season long, to match the defending series champion Ron Silk.
Ronnie Silk and Phil Moran. Oh, trouble now. It appears that Kyle Bonsignor's car, a puff of smoke. We see some damage done to the back end of the machine, and let's see what's going to happen. Bonsignor is looking to head back to the paddock area. What a tough break. He was contending strong up in the front pack of cars. Kyle Bonsignor's day will end not with success in the Granite State Derby.
Yeah, the frustration for that team has to boil over. I mean, they were so excited with the car that they brought here at this racetrack. They felt very optimistic, showed speed on the racetrack, but the caution is out. And that'll be the 3rd caution of the 3rd annual Granite State Derby here at Monadnock Speedway as the sun begins to set over the back straightaway here at this beautiful New Hampshire facility.
You know, it appears that the caution came out. Perhaps they're looking to check the racing surface. We did see that Kyle Bonsignor's car slowed. We saw a puff of smoke, and then all of a sudden he tried to limp the car back down into the paddock area. So 88 shows now up on the board.
Let's get a replay of what happened here. We'll see the 22 car. We saw the damage on the back of that car, the sail panel, as it came by us here along the start-finish line. Getting down into turn 1, we saw Ripkema in the 32. They were having a great battle for position
Now,
number 4 on
keep
the
your
track.
eyes. There was something let go. And all of a sudden, he did the right thing, pulled to the top side of the racetrack. Tyler Ripkema and his spotter get the I Done Good award because they were able to maintain and be able to keep going without no damage in a situation that could be a costly situation. So Ronnie Silk, as we said, 3 different leaders of the event. Greg Lutz has been hanging around with him in the 2nd spot. And Joe, let's talk about earlier this season, we've seen Craig Lutz in this position at New Smyrna. We saw him at Richmond. We even saw him at Thompson. But he has been unable to close the situation because literally he has not had the best of luck.
Well, sometimes it's a little bit of luck. I mean, he led 80 laps at New Smyrna from the pole, but he came home 12th. He came home 7th at Richmond, 6th at Thompson. And then he comes to this track. We talk about the Short Track Cup. Well, how about 3 of them, right? You go from here, then you go to Riverhead, then you go to Seekonk. So 3 small tracks after we ran some of the bigger tracks in New Smyrna, Richmond, and Thompson Speedway as the red flag comes out for what is likely fluid on the racetrack from the Kyle Bonsignor machine. But here's the thing with Craig Lutz. Craig Lutz is from Miller Place, New York, not far from the Riverhead Raceway, the tight bull ring that many of the drivers in the field here have a lot of experience at. Guys like Timmy Salamito, Justin Bonsignor, and others on track. But he never really raced there. He raced a little bit at Waterford Speed Bowl, but he really cut his teeth on the big tracks. Thompson Speedway running in the SK Modified division. And when you see a guy from Long Island that lives right down the street from Riverhead Raceway, you think, oh, he must be a bull ring short track guy. Craig Lutz is not. This is not his style of racetrack.
He's had success at the Stafford Speedway before. He has also had success, as you said, at those race facilities as well. As you look at the field as they are stopped on the backstretch, you see, of course, no surprises here. Ronnie Silk, the number 16 car, at the front of the field. You see Lutz in second, and then it is young Jake Johnson. Now, remember, Jake Johnson is behind the wheel of the Bowler family number 3 car. There is so much history and so much pressure. When we did the broadcast for Richmond, we told the story how Jake Johnson, as a youngster, had a model, a little Matchbox car of the number 3. And he said, someday I'm going to drive that car. That dream came to remission, and we're witnessing it here today. It isn't a surprise to anyone that Jake Johnson continues to carry that torch forward.
We've seen over the past 2 seasons of the Whelen Modified Tour, this team has had a series of drivers. Brian Narducci won, Donnie Leah won, Jake Johnson won. But this year they went in a different direction, and they said, we're going to run full-time. We're going to put all our focus in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. We're not going to do other things, and we're going to put that focus in with one driver in Jake Johnson. And that extra bit of focus is, I really think, what's making the big difference. You talk about professional athletes, and oftentimes their skill, their strength is near the same. The difference comes in the mental and the focus and the ability to execute on game day, or in our case of NASCAR, on race day. And that Jake Johnson, the Fournier group, Scotty Richards, the entire team, Old Blue, the Bowler Racing family, they've got that focus, and I think that's really one of the reasons why they're running well.
I agree with you on that situation. You know, as we're looking down at the order that they were running before the caution came out, Brian Roby, who is back in the 13th position, is a gentleman that had 13 victories here at the Speedway before the asphalt was changed. And then he came to opening day, and he won the first event of the 2024 season.
We are 89 laps in. Red flag is out for the 3rd annual Granite State Derby. Ron Silk leads the way from Monadnock Speedway. It's the Whelen Modified Tour on Flow Sports. Engines come back to life here on the back straightaway as we get ready to get back under the caution flag here. We'll keep an eye on the flag stand here at Monadnock Speedway. Great opportunity. We'll have these cars on track 2 more times this season. The Duel at the Dog 250 laps should be good here.
It's
July
going to be
20th.
a thriller.
And then in the fall, it's fair season in New England.
It sure is. And the Winchester Fair is one of the best, coming up on September 21st. All of this is part of the Whelen Granite State Cup, presented by, of course, JDV Productions, and under the management here, and doing an outstanding job of creating this. And as the field gets fired back up, it looks like we are back and starting to move in motion.
Field rolling slowly here through turns 3 and 4. Everybody getting their cars warmed back up again, refocused here for the final handful of laps in this one. 150 laps total on the day. They'll come across the line and see 60 laps to go in the 3rd Granite State Derby. Again, $20,000 on the line for the champion of the Triple Crown, the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup.
That's a lot of money to be up for grabs as well. And the field, again, being double-checked by timing and scoring to make sure they're in the correct orders as they may. And now the final. And let's go quickly, head down to the paddock area with Pete Falcone. Pete?
All right, we will
Big puddle of oil here with the number 22, Kyle Bonsignor, who had a great run going, but obviously it's a tough one for this afternoon. They had to put down a lot of speedy dry, and the oil actually followed him all the way in here. So out early, very dejected. In fact, we couldn't get a chance to talk to him, and they're about to put the car on jack stands and figure out exactly what happened underneath this number 22. Meanwhile, a whole bunch of cars here on pit road. We'll keep an eye on it.
Well, a heartbreaking situation for them. You know, we were talking about Jake Johnson. We had an opportunity earlier today to talk with him about what to anticipate in this event.
Problems for the 32 car of Tyler Ripkema, was running 4th at the time. His car back behind pit lane as well. See Tim Conley behind the pace car, looking to be the free pass here, ahead of the race leader, Ron Silk. So 1 to go signal will be given at the start-finish line. Conley will go past the pace truck and rejoin the tail end of the field. We'll stack them up this way as we get back underway after the red flag and the third caution of the day here today. Ron Silk, race leader. Craig Lutz to the outside. Jake Johnson at the bottom. Anthony Cecily 4th. And how about Matt Hirschman? He's back in the mix.
He certainly is. He's on the inside of that third row. Outside of him, we haven't talked much about the one again, but it's resurfaced as well. Green, 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 and we're racing. Here is Silk, side-by-side bid for second. Lutz and Jake Johnson on the inside. Great speed shot down the front straightaway. Jake Johnson moves back into second. Lutz settles back into third. Side-by-side battle. Here comes Matt Hirschman.
Opportunity now for Matt Hirschman to see if he can pick up a couple of spots here in the late going. 55 to go as they hit the back straightaway. Hirschman working bottom. Yellow, red, number 60 underneath Anthony Cecily, who's still inside the top 5 and having a great day.
Well, all that's been happening directly behind Hirschman. Here comes Austin Beers, white and green car. To the inside, to the outside is Patrick Emerling. 4 cars in a sweat pack. Right there. Here comes Hirschman, back guarding the spot, and Matt Hirschman continues to hold on to position number 5. Cecily is stuck in the outside lane, and now Austin Beers, car 64, white car to the inside of your screen.
Beers picking up spots up front. Don't take your eye off the race lead, though, because Jake Johnson is putting the bumper to Ron Silk, and he is putting some heat on him, trying to see if he can get his first ever Whelen Modified Tour victory. Silk not able to drive away from Jake Johnson. Johnson trying to set him up off turn 4, looks to the bottom. He'll sail it to the bumper in turns 1 and 2.
Remember earlier we saw that Jake Johnson made a little bit of a stutter step, gathered it back. Now, further back, we just saw a shot. Anthony Nacella, he's working his magic. Here comes Johnson. Saw a little daylight. Plants it into the bottom. It is Jake Johnson. The Lynx Propane Plus has lit him up to take over the lead.
Could today be the day for Jake Johnson? He still has a third of this race left to go, but he powers by Ron Silk. Behind them, Beers. He's on the move, goes underneath his neighbor on Mud Lane in Northampton, Pennsylvania. Matt Hirschman going backwards. Austin Beers going forward.
There's no question about it. Austin Beers had a terrible qualifying run. He turned the slowest first lap of anyone in the field, but he backed it back with a good second lap. Now he's into the top 4. Sly Zabin and Ron Newhouse have found something with the number 64 car, now up to position number 4.
Battle up front is not over yet because Ron Silk is closed back into the back bumper of Jake Johnson. His car tended to be good a little bit deeper into a run, and Ron Silk's car starting to come back to life. But these two, the class of the field, opening up over the third place car of Craig Lutz, now 5 car lengths back to third.
There's no question about it. Those 5 car lanes are tough to make up, but at these speeds, we're witnessing just that. Lutz back in the third spot with car number 46. Here again is Silk. Reeling him in. Looks to the inside. Melissa Fifield is there. The move that could have gave him the advantage is all but gone. Sneak peek. Can't do it. He'll look to the bottom.
Here comes Ron Silk, exactly how he took the lead the first time. It was setting up off turn number 2. Now he pulls to the bottom of Jake Johnson, but Johnson holds him off.
There's no question about it. You were right. On the long run, it appears that Silk has a little stronger of a car. He gets momentum, but that doesn't defer Jake Johnson, who's still the leader of the event.
Johnson now driving away. He looked at the rear view mirror, saw what Ron Silk was doing, and he's doing that exact same thing to take away the race lead. Everybody else pouring on the steam down into turn 3. The 25 of Ryan Roby inside the top 10, continuing to have a good day in his home state.
He certainly has. He has been silent but deadly in this event. Meanwhile, Lutz tries to shake off another youngster, and that is Austin Beers. Beers has reeled him in. Lutz continues to guard the spot. Here comes Beers. puts 2 tires down to the inside, thinks twice a bit, tries a crossover, tries to do it again. Second time a charm? No way.
Austin Beers had a similar car at the end of the Winchester Fair last September. His car came on strong at the end, trying to track down Justin Bonsignor. That day it was too little too late. He's got to get by Craig Lutz if he's won any chance with 33 to go on the line to be able to get by the race leader Johnson and Silk in second.
There's no question about it. It is Beers now. He's quickly made the move down underneath Lutz. Beers is up to the top 3, but there's a huge margin between second and third. All of a sudden, right of your screen, back up front, here's Silk again. Fans are loving it. Melissa Byfield continues to be right there to the bottom in the way. As they work their magic, we've got a spin.
It's the 5 of Kyle Ebersol, who has spun between turns 3 and 4. And I think that was the last thing that Ron Silk wanted to see, because he's going to have to start on the outside when we get the green flag.
Certainly is. And as we said before, Ebersol now moving to the state of New Hampshire. He lived in Charlotte for a while. He worked fabricating on the Cup Series.
These 2 cars almost came together there.
Yes, they did.
Ebersol tried to make her way up the racetrack. Melissa Byfield had a slam on the brakes, and now her car doesn't seem like it wants to fire. It still sits between turns 3 and 4, and the field continues to roll on past to the bottom, so she will go another lap down. We're going to reset this here for a second. There is Melissa Byfield 0-1. This is the 4th caution of the day, this time coming out here, and we've got 122 laps showing up on the scoreboard. The target today, 150, and the 5 car bringing out the caution in turns 3 and 4. Let's go back to Richmond.
Yep.
And let's go back to what happened in turn 3 early on in the race. Jake Johnson was trying to put a move on Austin Beers, and Austin Beers went up into the outside wall, hit that wall very hard in turn 3. It ended his day and really was part of the season that went in the wrong direction. When they restart this next time by, Jake Johnson will be on the inside in the 3 car. He's going for his first Whelen Modified Tour victory. The car right behind him, the 64 car, Austin Beers.
And will that be a situation like we've seen in the past, or will it be something completely different? We've got a look further back in this as well, as we are seeing things to settle in. Surprisingly enough, the 51 car has surfaced now at the bottom of the top 10 in the 8th position. Brian Roby in the 9th spot, and Timmy Salamito recovering from an early altercation where he got wide up in the turn, almost like the car perhaps jumped out of gear or something, and was able to gather it back. He's come a long way to get back in contention here.
Yeah, uncharacteristic for the 51 team. Started 12th today of Justin Bonsignor, 5-time winner, most of any Whelen Modified Tour driver here at this racetrack. Has really been a non-factor today, and I can't remember the last time I said that in a Whelen Modified Tour race.
You're so right. And of course, he has won events at this racetrack where he led green to checker, and there was no cautions in the event. So a lot of history that surrounds that situation there.
25 laps to go when they get the green flag. Now, we've seen last year, you go back to the race at Riverhead, how aggressive Ron Silk will be. And he will do what it takes to win. That's why they have him drive that 16 car. Jake Johnson has never won before. We don't know what he will do in this position. And Austin Beers, is there any payback for Richmond? Sitting there in the 3rd spot. Green flag is out.
And it is Jake Johnson. But look out, here comes Ron Silk. Pedal to the metal. Down into turn number 3. Drifts up just a bit. But Jake Johnson comes off the turn like a rocket. Here comes Austin Beers. Now working over Ron Silk.
Beers did not get the start he needed. He needed to get by Ron Silk. If he wanted a shot for the win,
Cecily goes around
in turn 4. Caution number 5 is out.
Cecily goes around top side of the racetrack. Didn't look like any severe contact there, as things were just starting to get settled back in.
He'll race to stay on the lead lap. Did the 19 car, but he's back in 19th position at the moment. So for Austin Beers, he got lucky here, I think, getting a second shot at it, because that restart, he gave that one away with Johnson and Silk getting away with it. And if he wants to be a factor, he's got to be there. Let's take a look at what happened up in turns 3 and 4 to bring us under our 5th caution.
Here they are. And this is the situation with the 19 car. Anthony Cecily, what a nice save by Justin Bonsignor. He got on the binders, then threw the car to the bottom and was able to come on by. Cecily, the early leader of the event.
It was contact from Bonsignor that sent Cecily sideways.
Yep. And Cecily gets it fired back up. 130 now showing up on the board. And you're right, even though this is a do-over situation, it is crucial. What do you think that is going on with those competitors that are in that front pack of 4? This restart is going to be crucial.
Well, I think they're talking about how strong Ron Silk was on the outside. He was the only driver who was all day on the outside line able to hang on and keep pace with the car on the bottom, and he was nearly side-by-side off turn number 2. Ron Silk won the race at Thompson. Last time out, how'd he do it? He beat Patrick Emmerling
He did.
on a restart. He's one of the best in the business. He's a 2-time champion, but he doesn't have any wins here at this racetrack. And last year, one of the keys to his championship was checking the box on racetracks he had not won at before, and those are the wins that launched him to a 2nd crown. And they have that in the top of their mind. In 2 races this season, he's already gone to victory lane. He's looking for his 3rd victory in that 16 car, and he is fierce behind the wheel.
He certainly is, and you saw example of that as we went back to green. Now the sun has went behind the clouds here, and things have changed in the setting just a moment as well.
I have a feeling we have not seen our last caution of the day, because this is about to go full throttle here. They'll get the 1 to go signal this time through. You got Jake Johnson bottom, Ron Silk up top, Austin Beers, Craig Lutz on the bottom.
Behind that, Matt Hirschman making up the next row. Justin Bonsignor now emerged in the top 6. Emmerling back in 7th. And Timmy Salamito all the way back up to the top 8.
Time to go to the whip. Green flag goes out, and Jake Johnson much better this time by as he is able to get ahead on Ron Silk. Silk hangs in there in the outside lane, but Silk into the wall. He overdrives turn 2. He's into the outside wall, and the 16 car is off the pace.
Trouble now. Ron Silk continues.
That car badly damaged.
Yes, it literally rode up on the right front, down the back wall. You can see the black mark on the Armco barrier. Another car on the line, Ken Lano, car number 56. Gathered it back somehow, back up front. Jake Johnson still the leader. Craig Lutz still in 2nd. Austin Beers is 3rd. And here comes Big Money Matt and Patrick Emmerling.
The pay window is open, and they are racing like it. Brian Roby deeper in the pack, trying to get underneath the 51 now of Justin Bonsignor in turn 1 in a battle for the 6th spot. Bonsignor able to make the best of a bad situation today. Contact up ahead. Emmerling into the back of Matt Hirschman. Both carry on.
Emmerling made contact with the inside rub rail on Hirschman's car.
10 to go this time for Jake Johnson. Battle for 2nd. Austin Beers looking on Craig Lutz.
Here comes Beers now. 4 cars contending for that 2nd position. Make it 6 cars now as Brian Roby, car number 25, moves into the hunt.
Here comes
Beers.
To the bottom. Sails it in there. No contact made. He's able to get underneath Craig Lutz. Down inside, 8 to go this time by Johnson on the back straightaway. He's 1.5 seconds ahead of Austin Beers.
Here comes Patrick Emmerling. Emmerling dive bombs to the inside of Matt Hirschman. Hirschman continues to dig hard. Patrick Emmerling on the bottom. Meanwhile, Emmerling noses ahead of the number 60 car.
And he is able to make that spot work, so Emmerling forward, battle for the lead. Austin Beers is quicker, but not fast enough. He's 1/10 faster at 1.1 seconds now between 1st and 2nd. 4 laps to go. for Jake Johnson. We watched this battle a little bit deeper in the field with Patrick Emmerling and Matt Hirschman. Let's talk about Jake Johnson, though. 3 laps to go. The last time Old Blue won a race in the Whelen Modified Tour, it was 7 years ago. It was 2017. Rowan Pennick was driving the car that day. Jake Johnson has been sensational. He's run part-time seasons the last 2 years, but today could be the day for Jake Johnson. He'll roll through turns 3 and 4, come off turn 4, white flag for Jake Johnson.
Final circuit around. The youngster who cut his teeth at Seacon Speedway, full-body driver, now a modified driver. He'll hang his hat to win the Granite State Derby on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour from Monadnock Speedway.
Jake Johnson has done it. This race car, this team, the Bowler family, Jake Johnson has worked at it. He earned it every step of the way today. He proved to be a contender, and Jake Johnson has now added his name to the list of Whelen Modified Tour winners. He wins the Granite State Derby. He's going to Whelen Modified Tour victory lane.
Certainly is. Austin Beers, an impressive run to finish in second. Patrick Emmerling held on for third. Craig Lutz for fourth. Matt Hirschman to round out the top 5.
You look at sixth, ended up being Justin Bonsignor. Good recovery for that team. Seventh, Brian Roby. Joey Cipriano, they had a skip in the motor before the race. He rallied back to eighth. Good day for them. Anthony Nocella and Ron Silk somehow, some way, finished 10th.
Certainly did. Timmy Salamito finished 11th. Tommy Catalano to finish in 12th. Anthony Cecily for 13th. Tyler Catalano for 14th. And Matt Kimball to round out the top 15.
You got Tim Conley, Trevor Catalano, Ken Hagee, Kyle Ebersol, Melissa Fifield, your top 20. Unable to finish today, Tyler Ripkema, 21st, Kyle Bonsignor, John McKennedy, and Nate Wenzel. You never forget your first victory, and today a victory lap. Made of champions from Rehoboth, Massachusetts, Jake Johnson. What a moment to see Old Blue and that 3-car back in victory lane. So much history. The who's who of modified drivers and the legacy of this car was born in modified racing, and today the next generation has taken the checkered flag.
Certainly has, and this is just one of many victories that you're going to see this young Jake Johnson behind the wheel of this Bowler car securing as it heads off turn number 4 and down to the winner's circle here. And what an impressive victory, as we said. Worked it for it, earned it, and of course, and now, a day he'll always remember, and what a great day for the Bowler family. Traditionally, doing it with a home-built race car, one of their own. And today, that combination is the story of the success here from Monadnock Speedway for the running of the Granite State Derby, presented by JDV Productions.
He wins the first stop of the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup today and continues to build on the success, so he will lead that championship battle for the next time we come back to Monadnock Speedway on July 20th and have an opportunity to win that. But he is very much in the middle of the Whelen Modified Tour championship battle as well, especially with the troubles that the 16 car of Ron Silk had in the less than stellar run for Justin Bonsignor, although he did at the end find a way to make a good run to come home 6th. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. But the third different winner here this season, for those who love modified racing, for those who love the history of this sport, this is it, as Jake Johnson climbs from his race car down in victory lane, victorious on the Whelen Modified Tour.
In victory lane of the Granite State Derby, and he's come close, but he claims his first NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour win in the Granite State Championship. Congratulations to you, Jake Johnson.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I got to thank a lot of people and all the fans for coming out tonight, but there's so many people behind the scenes when it comes to the 3-car that make this happen week in and week out. And it's just an honor to be here in victory lane for them and get that long-awaited win.
Tell us about that, particularly the last part of the race. Couple of restarts there. I know after that last restart you really took off, but you had Ron Silk alongside on some of those restarts.
Yeah, definitely. The competition was tough today. This track is just beautiful. I can't thank what Norm Renz and Josh Pineda have done to class this place up. It's a beautiful facility, and I'm excited for the next 2 races.
Well, congratulations. You're the Granite State Derby champion and a winner in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour.
Thank you.
Jake Johnson in victory lane picks up a big win here this afternoon.
And to the victor goes the spoils here at Monadnock Speedway. He will celebrate with the entire team down there in victory lane. What a moment for Jake Johnson to be able to capture this win here today. An outstanding performance. We still will hear from our second and third place finishers here today. Austin Beers came home second after starting 17th. Strong run for him. And Patrick Emmerling, who finished third here today. The Duel of the Dog, July 20th. The Winchester Fair, September 21st here at Monadnock Speedway. But next up, for the Whelen Modified Tour, 2 weeks from now, the short track series continues. It's the Riverhead Raceway on Saturday night, May 18th. If you're in the area, be sure to join us. If not, take a trip. It's a beautiful ferry ride over to Long Island and on to one of the best racetracks in town. Let's go down to hear from our second place finisher with Andy Austin.
I'm here with Austin Beers, one position short, but you had one heck of a rocket ship this afternoon.
Yeah, definitely. We were actually blowing up at the end. It started clicking with 3 to go, and I was losing power. I was just hoping it was holding on, but thanks to JDV and everybody that came out today. Great crowd on hand for this JDV event here at Monadnock, and it was really fun with this repave. I didn't really think we were going to have passing, but I think we proved there can be passing here.
Austin Beers finishes second today at the Granite State Derby.
Yeah, for sure. I think that new asphalt certainly lived up to the billing here today. A very entertaining race. And Pete Falcone, a guy that was a big part of that, came home third today. Patrick Emmerling.
Yeah, Patrick, very happy down here with a third-place finish. I'm sure you'd like to finish in one of those first 2 spots, but you had a good run today.
Yeah, solid run for us. I mean, pair of thirds the last 2 races on the tour here. So, yeah, we're building something here. We had I think we might have been the car to beat right at the end. Just right at the beginning, got kind of singled out there, got freight trained a little bit, lost a little track position, but I got to give it up to the whole team here, whole Fleetworks team and number 1 car, and everyone involved. I mean, we fastest car at the end, I thought, or we're right there. So, if the race was a little bit longer, I think it would have came in our favor. But yeah, I got to thank this track, for being a new pave. Pretty racy. Track was a lot of fun. It was pretty technical, and I thank everyone, the fans coming out, and everyone putting on the show. And I can't thank this team again enough. Rich, Dal, Rob, the whole team. Awesome job. We had another good car, and just looking to build some momentum here.
Congratulations on third place.
Thank you.
There's Patrick Emmerling, kind of wishing it was about 175 laps, as he said he was getting stronger towards the end of the race, but he'll take third in a podium finish here in the Granite State Derby.
Well, thank you, Pete. Appreciate your effort throughout the day today, and Andy Austin, who helped us pre-race and on pit road. What a day it was. Certainly the test and the question was around the new pavement. How would it play out today? It was certainly very racy. We saw some of the fastest times we have ever seen here at Monadnock Speedway. All the things that came into play to see one of the best races here at Monadnock we have seen.
It certainly has been an afternoon to remember, one that'll go into the record books. I think there's a real story as we're preparing to move on. Young Austin Beers is getting stronger. Jake Johnson will get more confident. Patrick Emmerling's become Mr. Consistency. And what about today? Ron Silk, a guy that never slips up. Well, today we saw something different.
We saw a mistake in the late going, but he still finished 10th. The celebration is on, the Bowler family, and Jake Johnson center stage here at Monadnock Speedway. He worked his way to the front, had to take the lead away from the defending series champion in Ron Silk to get the victory today. He and the rest of the Whelen Modified Tour, they will march on 2 weeks from today to race on the Bull Ring on Long Island, known as Riverhead Raceway, where the short track series continues in through the month of May. It's been great having you with us here at the racetrack, and for those who have been watching on Flow Racing back home, Whelen Modified Tour Granite State Derby, the winner today, Jake Johnson.